Are you ready to ride the waves? NamesCon Europe is coming up in just a few days. We bring on Monte Cahn and Andrew Rosner to discuss the auction coming up. They handicap the sleepers, the brand names, the keywords, the ccTLDs. This is a super fun show and super informative. Get ready to get your bid on whether you'll be at the show or not. First, serious about online trading? Secure your funds, keep your merchandise safe, and use a company that keeps the buyer and seller protected the whole way through. That's escrow.com. Payments you can trust.
FD was built by domain investors to increase your inquiries, sales, and profit. Forget spreadsheets and archived emails. Manage your entire investment portfolio in one place using a secure and completely confidential platform. Learn more at ft.com. That's EFTY, ft.com.
Hey, Sherpa Network. Today we're doing it again. The handicap for the next NamesCon auction. Our last show was mega popular. Maybe, Monte, it was because of your good looks, but we are ready to go again. So, Monte Cahn, how do you introduce yourself with regard to this auction?
Well, myself or the auction?
Well, you first, what is your official title for the auction? I mean, you are the ultimate auction master for NamesCon, for the domain industry, really. So you're CEO of Right at the Dot, but that's not the hat you're wearing today?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, okay. Of course. Yeah, Right at the Dot contracted out with NamesCon years ago to run the live and online auctions. For a couple of reasons. One, that we've been the most successful at it. I helped pioneer it in the very early 2000s, and we've sold hundreds of millions of dollars worth of domain names, either through brokerage and through auctions for the industry. It's part of the process of making a market for the industry. It keeps the market healthy. There are true markets decided at auctions. It's also a highlight for NamesCon. It draws people there. It's one of the most well-attended activities at the conference. The room fills up. There's alcohol flowing. The paddles in the air. Everybody's having fun. It's it's really good. So that's one of the reasons that we're conducting the auction and that we're looking forward to this auction as well. Because of NamesCon Vegas that was so successful over the last several years, NamesCon approached me and said, "Hey, how would you like to try it in Europe?" And I've done European auctions in the past, and auctions and everything, and they've been successful through the years. But we haven't done a NamesCon auction. It's a smaller attended show, but we're expecting a lot of people to be online just due to the timing of the event and the room to be full. And it's a featured highlighted event at NamesCon this year.
It's a big deal, and it kicks off the whole show. I really like that. And Drew Rosener, CEO of Media Options, one of the most interesting people in the room to watch at every auction. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you. Very happy to be here as always, especially with my boy Monte.
And
Drew's in the house.
And this event will be in your backyard in Qashqai. Everyone who's coming. Qashqai.
Yeah, about 25-minute drive from Lisbon. Great area, absolutely beautiful, and literally, I don't think that there is a better time of the entire year to be there. It's just perfect weather. It's not too hot yet. My guess is it's going to be like 25 degrees Celsius, which is, what is that, around 85, 90 degrees. It'll be crystal clear blue skies. There'll be a nice wind. It's going to be beautiful. It's going to be phenomenal. I'm pretty pumped. And I think there's going to be more people there than the organizers are even expecting. I think there's going to be a lot of last minute tickets. I think a lot of people are have booked flights, because a lot of the people that have told me they're coming, I didn't see on the attendee list. So I think I think that there's going to be a lot of people I don't know how that's all going to work, but I think there's going to be a lot of people.
Irresistible. Yeah, irresistible.
It's going to be great.
And so the conference itself is Thursday, June 20th through Saturday, June 22nd. And the auction is at a perfect time pretty much globally. Thursday, June 20th, 5 p.m. Lisbon or Western Europe time, 12 p.m. U.S. Eastern time, 9 a.m. West Coast time. So China's just used to getting up in the middle of the night. So everybody's in. And we're going to start out just like last time, showing the viewers where they can see this. When they go to NamesCon.com, then you can click right there. First thing you see is NamesCon Auction. Click on that and you see the list. You can sort, alphabetically by number of bidders, minimum bid, high bid, back order deadline is probably all the same. And then under high bid, if it's in blue, Monte, it's met reserve. If it's in gray, it has a reserve but hasn't been met.
No, opposite.
Opposite.
Yeah. So if it's gray, it's already hit reserve, and we have 31 names that have already hit reserve, which is good.
Okay. All right. Gotcha. 31 names have already hit reserve.
Yeah.
And wait a minute. So
just to clarify, every name has a minimum bid of $300, even if it's at no reserve. So even if it's a no reserve, the opening bid is $300. That's why they're all the same there.
Gotcha. Okay. And so we are filming Monday, June 10th. This show is going live in a week, Monday, June 17th, just to let people know, a little difference might be. But before we started filming, Monte, you were saying that a lot of these names have just barely been put on. So it's not like when you go right before an auction starts and you see number of bidders and you know which ones are the good names and which aren't. Because some names have just barely been added or are still being added. And you have an announcement. What's the big new one that was just added?
The big new name that was added was yachts.com. Just added to the auction. Several names were added on Friday, and this show's airing on Monday. So it's just the weekend of activity, which isn't a lot. So we do have a week and a half to go, which is good. And there's a lot of really great names that were added recently.
Yeah,
and might be a handful of others, and then I'm spending a lot of time doing end user promotion and networking to get participants into the auction.
Does that mean you get to go on several yachts and write it off? That's your networking?
Yes, that's great. Yeah,
I like that. All right.
Andrew's setting me up with the first yacht ride and tour and cruise when I come to Lisbon, so that's good. I can just sell it right there on the boat.
I like it. We should do the whole auction on the boat.
Yeah.
What
actually NamesCon just announced that there's a yacht tour or cruise or something on on Friday night?
Yeah, Friday night. I think Giuseppe organized. I'm not exactly sure what the details are, but it's some kind of a big sailboat.
For 2 hours around the city and stuff.
The Tejo, the river that runs in front of Lisbon.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's beautiful, and it's a huge river. It's like a kilometer across or something. So, it's not like a narrow little river. It's pretty sweeping, and it runs, right out. Lisbon is like a couple miles from the entrance of the ocean. So, at the other, you've got the big bridge. It looks just like the San Francisco Bridge, the Golden Gate Bridge. And just on the other side of that is open Atlantic Ocean. So it's pretty beautiful.
Sounds gorgeous. I'm
looking forward to it.
The surfing lesson. I love how that's a networking event. This is going to be great. Okay, so tell us a little bit more about some of these names, Monte. What are the big standouts to you? Let's start with like the va-va-voom, the big ones like yachts. Let's start there. What do you got? What's really priced to sell or exciting to sell for you?
Well, one of the biggest names and the name with the highest bid right now is audio.com, which was teased a little bit in the last auction. It was entered the last day before the auction, but we teased it in that auction, and we have several end users that are interested in the name. So it's possible it could sell at auction or even before auction, which is really exciting. That's just about a 7-figure name. Thriller.
How does that work to sell before auction?
If somebody meets or exceeds reserve and the seller agrees, we're allowed to pull the trigger. Some participants just won't participate in an auction. Some prefer to get into it in an auction. So it just varies. So our goal obviously is to make the market, to get the buyer, seller, everybody happy on all sides, and we're allowed to pull any name out of the auction if it's a sale.
Okay, good to know. All right, so audio.com.
We've pre-sold number of names before auctions, and of course it all counts towards the auction.
Gotcha. Okay, so audio.com, pretty much what I'm hearing you say is if there's somebody out there who's, you know, been thinking about it, you better pull the trigger and place your bid before that live auction even starts.
Yeah, it looks like there's going to be a really good offer or two coming in before the auction, which is good for everything. So, you know, there's a number of big companies, you know, in the audio business, audio streaming business, electronic equipment. It's, you know, it could be used for various, you know, initiatives. It's short, it's easy to spell, meets all the criteria of a fantastic end user, top tier domain name, in my opinion.
Yeah. In your opinion, I think in everybody's opinion, that's a great name. Audio.com. Yeah. All right. What else? What are a couple other the big ones?
Another top one is Thriller.com, which we've seen in brokerage and auctions in the past, but now it's priced to sell. We're more than halfway there, you know. So that's a good name, Thriller.com. I have a couple short .com names like 4M.com. That's very close to reserve. Ziz.com, which is a 3-letter name. 8T.com. I've had beautifulwomen.com in the auction in the past, but now it's grouped with 8 or 9 other names, and it's all for the same price. So now there's a .br and .fr. There's a number of country code extensions that come along with it, and you know, it's a great domain name too. It's long, but it's a you know, dead on good keyword domain name. It gets a lot of traffic. Another name that's hit reserve is sux.com already. So it's hit reserve. We have xem.com, then some other really good end user names, or, you know, dead on keyword names or descriptive names like dogtrainers.com, with.com has hit reserve, crying.com has hit reserve, kol.com has hit reserve. So a number of them, lots of those names.
Okay. So, I mean, KOL.com, 8,300 is what it's at today. It's already hit reserve. So it's selling either for that or higher.
It's going higher because there's 20 bidders on it.
Yeah.
And it hasn't hit live auction yet. So, you know, obviously the online bidders with the bidding in the room will move that name up, I think, significantly.
Yeah, significantly. That's a good point. Yeah. Crying.com, 9,100. So you have really, there seem to be super reasonable reserves in here that these have all hit them or exceeded them. I like seniordating.com. What's going on with that?
It's a great name. We also had that in a previous auction, but the reserve's been lowered. I sold seniors.com years ago for Paige Howe, if you remember, for $1.8 million, made him a millionaire. Yeah. And it went to the adult friend finder guys who started a senior dating site. So senior dating obviously is a more descriptive name, and says exactly what you're doing there. So I like that.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. Drew, what's jumping out at you on this list that you think might be a little more, sleeper domain, or things that the bidding hasn't started yet, but you would say keep your eye on? I know we talked a little bit, in last week's show with like hippie.com, a few like that. But yeah, what else do you see in here?
That's a great name, actually, Hippie.
It's a great brand.
Yeah. So the problem with Hippie is
no, we already talked about Hippie. Talk about something else.
Okay. We did? Did we talk about Hippie?
I think so.
Or maybe on a show that I wasn't on. But anyways, so the one that really just was like, whoa, I can't believe that has like no reserve, is bitcoinmarket.com. Bitcoinmarket.com is at $330. It's hit reserve. And I mean, that's, it's generic or not. I mean, you're talking about what is it? I don't even know what the market cap is today, but it's like,
billions,
$150 billion.
Yes, billions of dollars.
It's like that's the Bitcoin market cap is, $150 billion, and you can buy bitcoinmarket.com. Well, you can't buy it for $330. Obviously, it's going to go higher. But the point is that it already hit reserve. This is a free market. This, Monte was talking about, how the beauty, well, it's not what he was talking about, but what, for me, what I love about a live auction, and I actually hate the extended part of it only because it kind of like dilutes the part that I just really love of like this. It's now or never. It's happening in the room. If you've got a name that has already hit reserve, it goes live at auction in a room. It's going to sell to whoever wants it the most. And all bets are off. And it's like some people are just like addicted to gambling, horse racing, whatever. I love live auctions. I love it. And domains is the thing I probably know the best in my life. And so I really like live domain auctions. So, well,
thank you, Drew, and you're welcome.
Yeah, and I mean, I just, it's fun if you're participating. I don't know why this wouldn't be like the most fun thing of your, in your business life. It's like bidding in a live auction. It's just fun. It's like the most fun thing I do in the domain. So anyways, I'm pumped. I'm going to definitely be bidding on bitcoinmarket.com. That's just like an absurd, I don't even want to say it's an absurd deal because it's obviously not going to be $330, but it's going to be fun because, it's only at $330, which means you're going to have a lot of people who want it, which means that price will, it'll find its home. What else? There's so many names in this. There's really a lot of great names. I really like some of these 2 character names, the 8T and the 4M. Let's see. I think, 8T. I mean, you got a reserve that's under 100 grand. 4M, you've got a reserve under 50 grand. So I think both of those will sell. I would say almost definitely. As far as I know, the 2 character market for something that doesn't have a 4 or, a weird letter in it that the Chinese don't like. I mean, as far as I know, that market is 100 grand plus. And the ones that have a 4, like 4M, is around 60 to 75,000. So I believe both of those are, like almost a guaranteed sale. So those are going to be interesting to watch. And I really like these 2 characters. I think I did mention that on a previous show, but it's like everybody loves a 2letter.com. And obviously the use cases for a 2-letter are more than a 2-character, 2-character being a number and a letter. But the 2 characters are one of the scarcest classes of domain names that exist. And scarcity is one of the things that drew me to domains in the first place. There's only one, 4m.com. There's only one. One company in the world can own it. And so all you need is one end user that says, I'm going to be 4M, or that's their, their cleanest abbreviation. There you go. You got a law firm that's like, Mulligan, Mitchell, Murphy, and, I don't know.
And McConaughey.
Yeah, McConaughey. And it's like, well, 4M is a way better email address.
We have some single character domain names in there with country codes too that were awesome.
Yeah, the .de names.
I got w.de. I got x.de.
I'm very interested to see what happens with x.de. I mean, I think most people know I sold x.com. Most people know who it went to. As far as I'm concerned, that's the most valuable .com domain in the world. And I think, x.de is the German version of that. I don't think that particular buyer is going to be interested, but I think that it represents an opportunity for somebody who wants one of the singular, most unique domains that doesn't depend on language. X.de is it's a phenomenal name. It really is.
What would you say is a pricing guide for, I'm thinking, a lot of folks who are bidding are not going to be bidding on the ultimate top tier here, but there are a lot of 2-character or 2-letter domains with other TLDs like n7.org and cd.ca. What's a general pricing guide that you would recommend in terms of their value?
Well, I mean, I'm really not the right person to ask on country code domains. I don't know if Monte's got more experience than I do, but I don't even know if I've ever sold. We just brokered, we brokered the acquisition of a co.uk name. And I think that literally might have been the first country code domain I've ever brokered. We own, because, you know,
I can personally
we
say
own,
no, that's not, but that's okay.
well, we own some .de names, and we've sold a bunch, but those were like names we owned. I don't know if I've ever brokered another country code name. Maybe I'm wrong.
I've brokered a lot of them, and you know, just as a reminder, this auction is in Europe. It's going to be an international audience.
Totally.
So I'm tending to put some more ccTLDs in here, obviously, that either have no restrictions, or with proxy services that are now offered by 90% of all the registries, you can have presence and be able to own them. So anything that's highly restricted or has huge renewal prices, we're not putting in. So you know, one of the other package names that comes with two names, which is perfect in my opinion, given what houses.com sold 4 years ago, but is houses.co.uk and houses.uk. So you get both names for the price, and it's priced to sell in my opinion. It's under 6 figures to get to reserve. And I think it's a kick-ass, you know, keyword desirable domain name, you know, for the entire European community, not just the UK.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And we talk about
any international real estate business, brokerage and mortgage companies, and, you know, realtors in Europe should be all over that. So
Totally.
I'm focusing on that.
Okay, Drew, we'll go to your specialty then. How about weed.business, weed.is? What are your thoughts? I know, you know, in general, I have some thoughts about the phrase weed, but what do you think about the cannabis names on this list? Oh, actually, first, Monte, are there other cannabis names on the list that?
Yeah, there's a handful. We have C-B-D, you know, CBD, which I didn't think was a great name before, but I did some research on it, and it gets decent amount of traffic, and people look it up that way, and it's searchable with the spaces in between and hyphens. So you know, it's a great name. And then of course we have vaporizers in there, which is it's a big name, big industry, and not necessarily for the weed business, but for any vaping you know, company or potential business and buyer. We have marijuanareviews.com. marijuana.reviews. So I do have some new TLDs here where the keyword in the front and the extension makes sense together. Obviously, when you can actually launch a new business off of that, and, you know, have a business or a blog or some kind of platform where the new extension makes sense, and over time it can be popular.
Yeah, for sure. So Drew, what do you think are, you know, good pricing for a buyer to pay on those kinds of names?
I mean, you know, each name differs. I mean, you know, I always say the same thing. I mean, for me, domain values are driven by search, traffic, cost per click, advertiser competition, industry market cap. And so, you know, this is a massive market. And so, you know, the more high level the name is, meaning like, you know, weed versus like weed, like, I don't know.
Well, there's weed, there's cannabis, there's marijuana, you know, there's
Well, so
they're tiered.
you can drill down. So it's like, you know, cannabis.com, that's like the top tier, right? And then you've got, you know, cannabissativa.com would be like tier 2, although still a very good domain. And then, you know, like, I don't know, cannabissativa-strains.com would be like a tier 3, right? And then, you know, cannabis-sativa would be like a tier, you know, so it's, you know, each tier, you obviously, you know, you got to discount the values. But I think that in general, like, we're selling so many names in the cannabis market. The Ganjapreneur domain marketplace is ripping. You know, mostly smaller names. You know, it's a lot of $2,500 to $10,000 names that are selling, but they're selling, and that market is growing faster than any other market I believe there is on the planet. So I think anybody holding good names in that market, anybody looking to buy names in that market, you know, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't know how you're going to make, you know, how you're going to do poorly having good names in that space.
Yeah, it's only an expanding market over time.
Yeah.
Huh.
You know, I just was on a call actually right before this, and it was like, you know, I was talking to somebody and he's like, well, why are you investing in so many different things in this market? And I was like, well, you know, domains, multiple companies, and some infrastructure stuff. And it's like, you know, and real estate. And it's like, well, you know, a rising tide lifts all boats. And so I just want to have as many boats in the water as I possibly can, you know.
Or yachts.com.
Or yachts.
Good one.
So you know what? Here's a name. Well, let's see what the reserve is. Oh yeah. So here's a sleeper that I just found. baitandtackle.com. Not bait and tackle. baitandtackle.com. Anybody who's a fisherman knows, like, that is literally the sign hanging outside every tackle shop in America.
Yep.
It doesn't say bait and tackle. It says bait and tackle.
I am not a fisher, and I knew that.
That's because you live landlocked.
Yeah, no, that's a really no, but I knew that even so, you know, and that's from my East Coast days. But that's a great brand. You're right.
That's a great brand. That's a great brand. I mean, selling tackle online, I mean, literally, that's a layup.
Start with tackle, go to all fishing gear, you know. Yeah.
That's a nice little brand actually for the fishing industry.
Yeah. Now on names at that level, Monte, you know how you're reaching out to end users, which I'm sure for names like Audio and Thriller, but on names at that level, do you also reach out to end users?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah.
Of course. Over 52% of our names in these auctions are sold to end users, believe it or not. I think I talked about this last auction. So
really?
Yeah.
I think I was just as surprised the last time.
Even with everybody in the room raising their paddles, 52% go to the end users, because that's, you know, a lot of the domainers and the investors are raising the bids, and then an end user will take it, or they'll just miss the boat and not take it, or they just don't understand the value, and domain investors do. But the important thing, that's why it's important. These auctions are important because it's not a wholesale market sale. It may appear to be that way on some names, but it is a true market sale because there's a mix of investors, end user buyers bidding against each other in a room, making a market. Yeah. And anytime there's more than one bid on the name, you have attempted market making going on, and value what the current market is for that particular name. Now, of course, you know, we can't hit billions of people across the world, but we're doing our best for those that are online, and then those that are domain investors. And, you know, I say this every show that we do, is that just when you think that all the good names are taken, these types of events offer the opportunity for a domain investor to get in and get a top tier domain name at a reasonable reserve price and do something with it and make something of themselves and of their online business. And if we didn't have these auctions, it'd be much harder to do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it'd be much harder to do. I mean, we all know that us as brokers and your group as brokers aren't really reaching out to domain investors to buy the name. We're reaching out to end users. That's where you want to make the most money for the seller and for yourselves and everything else. But this offers a nice blended opportunity for everybody.
Yep.
Very interesting. And in terms of sell-through rate, your goal is 50%, right?
Goal is always to sell half of the names in the auction. And last auction in Vegas, we were at 68% or something, or close to 70%.
That's pretty baller, yeah.
Yeah. So as I already know now, there's, you know, we still have a week and a half to go, or almost 10 days to go, and 31 names have hit reserve. So that's good, positive. That means 1/3 of the names in the auction are going to sell, at least as of today. And I know that's higher. So that means we're not going to go through a spurt of more than 3 or 4 names not selling at one time. Usually it's every other name that sells, to keep it active and fun and keep people interested in the room.
Yeah, keep the energy going.
It's not going to be as big of a list as Vegas because I don't have as much time. So instead of having 30 names, there's going to be about 100 names in this auction.
Okay.
Maybe something less than that, 85 to 100 names. We got to get through it in 2 hours. So
another name I like here, arcadegames.org. I mean, all these games names are selling for big money. Anything that's got big search in the game market is just selling because of the esports market, because of the gaming market, because of just that whole online gaming market, whether it's video games or arcade games or sports betting, whatever, esports. That market is just exploding. I mean, that's one of the biggest trends there is. So arcade games, low reserve, that's a hell of a name.
I have escrowservices.com in the auction. It's a new entry, so it's a great name. Some other sleepers are closetdesign.com. That's a huge industry now.
Oh, yeah.
So it's in there. It only has 2 bidders on it, but it's priced to sell. Blow dryers, which I've had before, but it's still a keyword. It's not a product you go to the store and buy or go buy on Amazon. I mean, it's a no-brainer to me.
Yeah, I mean, I see KOL.com in here. That's already hit reserve. It's at $8,600.
Yep.
I mean, that's that's going to sell. That's 100%. That's a name that's going to sell. And what I like about that name is it's like KOL is whatever K can be online. Could be whatever, whether it's Kohl's online, Kangaroos online, Kalamazoo, who knows? But KOL, there is somebody out there that's K something online. I freaking guarantee you.
Right. Well, if you remember, I sold OL.com in Vegas for over $900,000. So, it gives it value right off the bat.
Absolutely.
Do you seek out domains like that you mentioned that, well, I guess it doesn't matter. But do you seek out names like that on, like you sold OL, so now KOL has that comparable sale at live auction and can really help you gauge?
Not that particular example, but obviously we've been very successful through the years with 2-letter domain names and 3-letter domain names, and especially those with a vowel in the middle or that can be used for something like that, that aren't obscure or anything like that. So kind of, but not. I wouldn't go seek out KOL because I sold OL.com, but it just gives it validity that we have that name and I got it at a low reserve. My job is obviously to, besides getting the sale for the seller and the buyer, but to make sure that the reserve prices in most cases are something attractive so that bidding is possible and a reserve price meeting a reserve price is possible. And then it takes off from there and truly becomes a market maker domain name.
Okay. I was kind of thinking like,
they're so overpriced, we just waste time and spots, and it doesn't make any sense unless I'm teasing it for another event or another sale in the future. But I can't take up too many space to do that. It's unfair to the sellers and to the buyers and all that stuff. So the goal is to sell 100% of the names, obviously.
Yeah, right.
So
and
I just saw another one.
Oh, go ahead.
Laws.net. We sold law.net for a 6-figure amount. Twice, actually, both times in 6 figures. And there's laws.net, the plural, it's already hit reserve and it's only at $400. That's
Whoa.
Yeah, that's a no-brainer.
That's a big deal.
Yeah, I like that one.
Yeah. I mean, there's lots of sleepers in here. 3-letter, like gro.org is a sleeper. That's already hit reserve, by the way. But grow, gro.org is great .org name. 3-letter.
Yep. There are some big cannabis companies called GRO. I believe there's also a public company called GRO. I can't remember exactly who that was, but I remember gro.com was on the market for a minute. I slept on it. I made like a lowball offer, and then it ended up selling, I think, for like 50. I think I offered 30 or something, and then ended up selling it like 50-ish. This is probably 2 years ago. And then I tried to go back and buy it from the guy who bought it, and he wouldn't sell it. And now I know they turned down like, a significant six-figure offer for the .com. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it was from a big end user. And I believe there's like a huge company called GRO something.
And no matter what, I mean, sounding like grow is amazing. But when you have a three-letter that ends in O and then is a .org, it's probably that's a nice different way to approach it, where you're going to have an organization who wants a .org.
Totally. I didn't even actually think about O being organization, but that's a great point.
Yeah.
I always say, like, when I'm looking at a name, I want to try and have as many like upside angles as possible. And I like GRO because it's O for online, O for organization. You've got GRO. It could be Greece online. It could be GR being the country code for Greece. You've got all these little backstops on that name. It's a liquid 3-letter.org. It's got great acronym, multiple meanings. So yeah, I like that name a lot.
Hey Monte, let's look at these the new Gtlds.
Yep.
Like, you got some real good ones on here. Income.property, marijuana.reviews, and my favorite one I stepped away from, so help me if I don't get it right. Family.recipes.
Yep.
That's
Family.recipes. So, obviously no-brainer, flowing keyword and extension name together. It makes sense. They make sense. There's something that's popular. They're talked about. I have rental.property that's already hit reserve. That's a great, that's a no-brainer not geo, but a new TLD name that makes perfect sense. Rental.property. That's a big, huge search term in the industry. So yes, lots of, I don't have a ton of them in there because, again, we're dealing with a market that doesn't really know about new TLDs yet, but it's a way to get into an industry, have a great domain name that you can build something upon, tag it on top of a .com name as using it as your blog name or as another side of the business, and feed it from there until the new TLDs become popular, which some of them are, obviously.
Monte, that's true, but I have also interviewed 2 different companies now, the vacation.rentals and online.casino, who talked about how they both purchased it as a way, not in conjunction with the .com, but as a way to say, look, we're different. We're new, we're cutting edge, we're breaking free from what you expect of vacation rentals or online casinos. So could take that approach too. So
for sure.
I like these.
And that's a great way to look at it for the new generation of buyers and users and online companies and VCs that are out there looking to launch something that's great and different. And then the challenge is, or not the challenge, but the hard part is getting people to remember it's not a .com. It's a new extension. Yes, it does exist. Yes, it's not all about .com. And so, but look what some of the companies have done with their .com names that make no sense until they brand it like crazy, or they throw a Z at the end instead of an S, or they throw or the shortening that we just talked about, like GRO.com would be a perfect name for a cannabis company, but instead of GROW.com, and people have to make sure they get that right. Like, it doesn't have a W in the end. And then, is the grow.com getting the traffic from the grow or vice versa, by mistyping it. So those are the challenges. But if a company is properly budgeted and they're making that commitment to be different, they should have a proper budget in place to make that work for them.
So do you mostly have .property in here? I also see foreclosure .property.
This makes sense. I mean, it wasn't a registry submission. There are individual owners that that feel they made a good buy when they first got it registered. They were the first registered user. It's not a resale. And now they want to get, a resale price for that particular name. And obviously they make sense together.
Okay. All right. Video.marketing. What?
I like
That's amazing.
Property. That's a hot name.
Yeah. And anybody who thinks the foreclosure market isn't as hot as it was a couple of years ago, my phone number accidentally got listed as someone's number who's foreclosed their property. It's been since February 2017 or 2018. And I mean, my phone rings off the hook for people who want to buy this foreclosure. And I've tried hard to find this lady's number so I could get it changed. I've complained to the white pages who listed my number and they won't change it. but I tell you, it's still a hot market based on that one statistic.
Yes, it is.
No, but I love video marketing. And again, that's somewhere where you can stand out. You are a cutting edge video marketer if you know about marketing, right? That's really cool. How about some brandables on here? JollyOldElf.com.
I debated whether to put it in, but you look it up and.
Yeah, listen to me. Listen to me.
Great holiday name.
As the former owner of Santa.com, I can tell you that the only thing more popular than Santa is just friggin' elves.
That's right.
Yeah,
Elves on the shelf.
Elf on the shelf just
Bench on the bench.
to like a whole new level. So anything with elves is hot. It's like crazy.
But I love that and Drew loves to say, you know, phrases everybody knows, make good domain names, JollyOldElf.com. I have never bid on a name in this auction before, but if I did, it might be that one. That's just, I feel like it'll probably sell really low, and someday somebody's going to want that. And no, I'm never going to develop that.
All right. So I just identified what I think is I think bait and tackle is a great e-commerce play. But this is maybe my favorite e-commerce play for the value in this list. Wrappingpaper.com. Wrappingpaper.com, you know, it's not a giveaway wholesale price. It's got a reserve between 10 and 25. At 10 grand, that's a freebie. That's like, you know, great deal. I don't know where the reserve is in that range, 10 to 25, but at the lower end of that range,
somewhere between those two numbers.
And yeah. So that I think this is a buy because wrappingpaper.com is it's one of those few things that's like perfect for e-commerce. It's not too cheap, like relatively speaking, it's cheap, easy to ship. Like if you own, there's not a human being on the planet that knows a brand of wrapping paper. Like, and those are the things that you want to be in today in e-commerce, or things which there's no household names. I've said this before. It's like, you know, cabinets, doors, and even doors. It's like, you know, we're brokeringdoors.com right now. And it's like, you know, very few people know a brand of doors, but even doors, more people know a brand of like high quality commercial doors than wrapping paper. Nobody knows wrapping paper.
But you can use another, I'm sure you thought about this with doors though. Obviously it's the opportunity is like open doors for business. Exactly.
Totally.
So that's a perfect spin of that domain name.
I just pitched it today to a like a real high level recruiting firm. You know, with exactly that pitch was like,
recruiting companies, Salesforce might be interested in that.
Yeah.
You know?
Opening doors.
And you know what else on wrapping paper? That's huge affiliate opportunity. You know, kids today, they don't sell chocolate door to door. They sell wrapping paper.
Really?
Yeah. Get with the program, man. Yeah.
There you go.
Because, you know, I think people have tried to move towards like more healthy options and things people actually want or need.
And non-perishable items too. Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's brilliant. And it's cheaper to ship than chocolate. I mean, come on. But yeah, wrapping paper has huge, not just like affiliate opportunity, like Bob down the street is going to try to make money off selling it too, but like huge institutions, school districts, you know, and again, when you call them and say, hey, who's your current contract with? Do it with us instead. When you say, I'm with wrappingpaper.com, they return your call, you know?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I like that name. That name is.
I just left the Jolly Old Elf for wrapping paper.
Yeah, I'm pretty bullish on wrappingpaper.com.
Yeah. Monte, what is with this? Mafia.fr. Tell me more. What don't I know?
Nothing. It's just a keyword name that's, you know, from France. You know, I have
the French croissant mafia.
Yeah. Just good keywords, keywords with good reserve prices on it in a particular country with a good country code. France is a popular country code. I have cash.fr. I've got a couple of names like that, and they're easy names to register through the proxy services and the presence services that all the registries offer. So You don't have to live in France to own it. You can turn it into a business, and there's 3 or 4 really good .fr names in the auction. And again, I'm sprinkling some ccTLDs in here, obviously, because there's a European audience. So there will be people from France attending. There'll be people from Germany. There'll be people from Portugal. There'll be people from England. There'll be people from, all kinds of places.
Sure, yeah. Okay, hackertools.com. Basically, no reserve. It's 500 or less. Reserves met. That's a great name. Memorable brand.
Yep.
I just had one. Hold on. What was it?
Oh, what about this one?
Yeah. I was going to say whiskey.ca, but I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to blow up your spot, but I think it's too. I think it's too high.
Might be. I've got some really good .ca names.
Favorite whiskey is a Canadian rye, and so whiskey.ca. That in Canada, I don't know if anybody knows, but with whiskey with an E, so EY, applies to countries where there's an E in the name of the country, like Ireland, for example, is whiskey with an EY. Scotland, where there's no E in Scotland, it's whiskey like this, like Canada, no EY. And so Scottish whiskey is WHISKY. Yep. Irish whiskey is WHISKEY.
Yep.
American whiskey is WHISK. I think America is like the exception. I can't remember what.
See all that? That's all whiskey.
Tell me, American whiskey, like your.
That's
bourbon.
my bar.
Bourbon whiskey.
That's bourbon and Scotch whiskey right there.
Is bourbon whiskey? Is that with a E or no E?
No E.
Okay, Monte, I want a tour right now.
So Japanese whiskey also, WH.
Where are you, Monte? Because it looks like behind you, you have a shrine to olives. That's how I personally am interpreting your stained glass window, is a shrine to olives.
No, it's not. But
makes
it's just
much more sense.
I'm doing my show from my bar in my house.
Okay. And this whole section, so this is your bar chill area.
Yeah.
Over here, what is
chill area? I've got a great bourbon and whiskey collection that I enjoy. And,
is that a Porsche sign back there?
Yep. And those people that know me know I have a 1988 911 Carrera. That's a turbocharged.
Ooh, nice.
So I collect car pictures and photos around Porsche, and I'm a Porsche fan. Look at my shirt. Yeah. That's the evolution of man, by the way.
So that's funny. I got 3 teenage boys, and guess what? My dog got named Portia.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, and today is the first time ever that I let her in the room while I was filming. Maybe it was meant to be, but I called her and she hasn't come. Oh, she's like sound asleep looking at me because she knows leave mama alone on the computer. But if I can get her over here by the end of the show.
Hey, maybe she can help me sell dogtrainers.com, which is in the auction.
Oh, well, okay. So does that mean I need to bring her?
Yeah, bring her.
She'll be my business companion.
Is she a trained dog or she need training? So it depends on how I'm going to sell it.
Oh, she's a good puppy. She is the product of amazing training.
Yeah.
Okay, I found another sleeper here. Way undervalued. Deepfryers.com.
Oh, yeah, I saw that. And there's deepfryer.com.
Yeah.
And I think that could be a really cool brand.
Yeah, I mean, I on these types of names, I prefer the plural just because it's a straight e-commerce name. I'm not sure I agree with you about it being a brand, but it could be.
I mean, it probably won't be.
It's a product like blow dryers and a bunch of these other. I have coolant. I have blow dryers. I've got deep fryers. I've got. I mean, things that people are buying online or buying. I think one of the best names is electric motorcycles. It's like freaking hot. That industry is hot as hell right now. Yeah, everybody's going electric bikes, electric motorcycles, of course, electric cars, but the electric motorcycle industry is like on fire right now. So it's okay.
I love this one that you have, especially in a European auction. Coupes, like the cars, COUPES.com. And I
Yep.
mean, that seems like a great, the reserve is 25 to
Oh,
50.
is that on there?
Yeah.
I like that one.
I didn't see that.
Yeah.
I've got foreign.net.
Foreign.net.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Foreign.net.
I don't like that one as much. And what is your top bid on domain right now? Singlemen.com?
What is the top bid on that?
No. What is the most bid upon domain name? That one?
Oh, the most bid upon domain name is, singlemen.com has the most bidders. And Beautiful Women have the second most bidders, and KOL has the third most bidders as of today.
Okay.
Again, a few of these names were just put in. So some of them took off, obviously, and some of them have released.
It's how it goes, man. Sex sells.
Yeah. Make a prediction. What do you think by next week when this airs are going to be the 5 top bid upon domains?
Well, I think yachts.com, because it just was entered, yachts.com will probably be one of the top bidded names in the auction by that time. I think audio is going to hold its own unless it gets sold between now and then, for sure. And then some of the new entries like fighting.com should be a very popular domain name to bid on. It was just entered on Friday as well. A lot of the 3 letters. I like fcc.com as well. So it has 12 bidders right now, but I see that climbing quite a bit.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. And I have a number of really good 4-letter.com and .net names coming in that have 2 of the same, vowels or consonants in them. That
like
should
lgff.com.
Yeah, but there'll be a bunch of those coming in the next week or so. They're going to be entered today at really good reserve prices. I mean, I know they're not they're not going to sell for 5 figures, but there'll be 4-figure sales, which will be good. That's a chance for somebody to get in and have a name that has an acronym to do something with that's simpler to spell than probably some long strung out name of some other origin.
Yeah.
So it'll be. So I've got a bunch of those coming in the next. By the time the show airs.
Okay. All right. I love aliens.net. I love it as a .net. Like somebody wants that name and they are getting
some really good, like with all of our auctions, we have really good keywords, product names, search terms.
You have good matching between, what's right of the dot. But it really, all really great flowing. Interesting, except I'm not sure about mafia statistics in France, but I'll see what I can do to educate myself on the subject.
Yeah, it could be for all kinds of different things. Doesn't have to mean the word mafia to mafia. It could be food mafia. It could be done for something else.
No, I like croissant. Like I think Drew, you need to look up and register Croissant Mafia if you don't own that, because that's coming soon to a grocery store.
Sure, that's not .se for like the Swedish house mafia. Isn't that the name of they're like one of the biggest DJs in the world.
Yeah. And then we have some foreign words coming in as well. Obviously that, that'll be in some different languages and stuff like that. And there are a couple, but those are.
How long, how do names get into your auction, and how long does the adding names happen? Like when's the cutoff when someone says, okay, I've seen all the names at auction, I can make my choices now?
You mean to bid on or to enter?
No, to bid on, like, so names are still being added. When are they not going to be being added?
Well, I'm slowing down that process now because I'm spending a lot of time doing, marketing. So it's hard to go through thousands of, again, at these auctions, tens of thousands of names get submitted, right? So I'm really the only one that weeds through it all and picks out the gems. And, I do use a lot of tools and stats or whatever, but I also have, gut experience from, 25 years in the business on what should be good names to be at auction and what should be good names to be brokered and what should be good names to sell, obviously.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
This auction is going to have a lot of names on the online part. There'll be about 500 names on the online portion of the auction. And again, 100 names will be chosen for the live event. But there should be a lot of activity in the online portion as well. So people have been submitting using the submission link. And, if a name like yachts.com comes in at the last minute, like this just did yesterday, that's with a decent reserve. It's going to be worthy of consideration, obviously.
Okay.
And a lot of our sales are after the fact also. So the auction kind of teases, like we talked about before. The auction brings awareness to a particular name, or if there wasn't enough time to market it, knowing that it was in the online portion, it gives another chance for someone to bid on it, buy it, or, of course, after that, have exclusivity to sell the name 60 days after the event. So a lot of sales do occur through a second and third attempt, efforts on behalf of the seller and a buyer. So I bust my ass working on that too. And of course, it's open for co-brokers to bring in bidders, and we share the commission on that. It's not, we open it up for anybody that knows that they have somebody interested to buy it. So we allow open co-brokering and participation that way too.
Okay. So you go to right of the dot, which is rotd.com, and that right there is a submit button. And then you choose if it's a brokerage submission or an auction submission, and
Correct.
Boom. Or if you're already on NameChat, looking at the NamesCon auction list, over on the left, if you scroll down a bit, it says, click here to have your names considered for inclusion in the auction. You can still do that. Do you think when we air on Monday the 17th, they can still do that or no?
Well, I'm going to get tons of submissions. I'm going to get tons of submissions after this show.
Real good reserve or no reserve.
Yeah. So if you have yachts.com level, or you have something at a super low reserve, otherwise let Monte sleep.
Yeah. I don't get a lot of sleep during this time. That's for sure.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah.
And, but yeah, your show is going to air. And of course people are going to say, oh, maybe he'll consider this one and whatever. So I get them in, and I give everybody attention and tell them what to do. At the very least, we can help broker them or wait till the next event. We have some exciting things coming up. It looks like I'm going to do a, specific homes auction for the .homes registry in November. And we're going to do a live auction at the National Association of Realtors, where there's 25,000 people going to be there. So, and that's a way they're going to kick off the extension and make it valuable. And it's a perfect market for that.
What a dope idea. You've got a captive audience. Every single one of them wants to own their, Houston.homes or.
Exactly.
How did
even the people who have no clue that exists today, when there's a live auction in the room, there's energy. And
there's all kinds of marketing.
And the guy they're competing against on a daily basis puts his hand up for, Austin.homes or Denver.homes. And they go, oh, Joe's bidding for Denver.homes. We can't let him have it. That's going to be fun. Is
this the first time you've done an auction like that? And how did that come together?
I've done it for several new TLDs. I did it for .club when they first launched. It helped them, really launch their TLD. I did for
where was that auction? Was it with at a club end user conference?
No, yeah. See, this is
we broke that out. But .global, I did .global when it first launched, right before it launched, actually, at the Cahn meeting in London, 4 years ago. And
yeah, but it's got here. You're talking about you literally have a captive industry.
Exactly.
Yeah, this is a whole nother level.
It's just super high level of competition.
Monte, this is groundbreaking, I think.
Yeah, so
I
presented the idea to Dominion Enterprises, and they loved it, and we're going to be all over it. It's going to be, Dominion is the one that owns that. They own .auto or .cars or .autos. They own several keyword extensions like that. They own .boats, .cars, or .autos. They own .homes. We're going to do that, and then probably do the other ones. So it'll be cool.
Super cool. Wow. When is that?
That's going to be in November. Exact date's not set yet, but it's at the National Association of Realtors. We're working on getting a room to do the auction at the show. Going to start doing the marketing and all that stuff during the summer and really pump it up.
Cool. Will you come on in December and tell us how it went, what it was like?
Or I'll come on before and help promote it beforehand.
Oh, look at this guy.
It's worthy of promoting. It's going to be a industry changing event.
Listen,
Will there be an online
totally.
aspect as well? Like it'll be set up like this one? So investors, even domain investors, can still get in on that?
Yeah, of course. It's going to have everybody playing.
Okay, cool. All right, then we'll set you up in like end of October, early November.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay.
I think that's the most perfect auction environment that's possible for any domain auction, really. I think particularly in the real estate space, because these are real estate people have always understood domains. It's just such a natural leap, right? And so, and real estate people they have to be adept at online marketing because that's how you sell houses.
Yeah.
So,
and real estate is, I mean, domain names are virtual real estate.
Exactly.
So it completely makes sense when you cross that paradox and bring dot homes or a dot real estate or a dot, whatever together at an auction, at an event where there's 25,000 people in the industry going to at their national conference. There's going to be names sold.
Yeah. What I think you're going for, Monte, it's a dovetail. I mean, that is just such a great match to each other.
Yeah.
You should have done the exact same thing 2 or 3 weeks ago. I forget what the name of the conference is, but it's the biggest legal conference in the world. It was just in Boston. It's like NTIA or something like that.
Yeah. I've been to plenty of them. Yeah. For dot law, you mean do it for dot law?
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
You do a dot law with a room full of competitive lawyers.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's like 100,000 people or something. It's a huge conference.
Yeah,
that's another one. I mean,
well, this I can see is going to be the first of many of these types of things. Now that new TLDs have been out for a couple of years, 3 years, whatever, some are starting to take ground. And I mean, look how many new people come into the industries, each year to real estate, to law, whatever. All these new lawyers, of course, they can't get a domain name and a .com that makes any sense to them.
Yeah, of course.
So, if you're a divorce lawyer and you can own divorce.law, you're going to be freaking king, or personal law or whatever, Yeah,
there's probably 10,000 people a year or more. I'm just making up a number, but I bet it's even more than that. They graduate from law school. And it's like, every year new. And
same with the healthcare industry, because now, dot health is coming out, has come out already by our friends who started .co. And so they're going to make a big win at it. We might do something with them and do something similar as well. And so I think it's a new segment besides doing these other NamesCon auctions that makes and don't dilute the market in any way, because it's in a completely different market segment geared towards that particular extension. Mm-hmm. And back in the day, I don't know if you remember, but I at 1 year I did 14 auctions around the world. It was crazy. And it's very hard to do, and there is some dilution when you do all that, because
was that with Rick? Was that when Rick kind of took over traffic, or what?
No, I did 3 traffic auctions, plus I did ad tech, I did SEM, I did all search engine conferences, I did auctions in various market segments with particular domain names so forget about the extension, but just the keyword before dot. Exactly. If it was the search engine marketing conference, of course, anything that was SEO or
SEM.
Yeah, and I did the affiliate conferences for that were all over the place too. So I was doing 3 or 4 in every industry, bouncing around all over the freaking place. It was a lot of work, but it put us on the map, and and there were some successful ones, obviously, and there were a handful of flops, and you learn from those.
Totally.
And, so I don't think it's the time to do 10 or 15 auctions a year in the same market. But when you're doing new extensions and they're trying to make headway in a particular industry, that makes more sense to me.
Yeah, it really does.
This is a unique point in time. You know what I mean? This isn't just, we're going to go out and do this, targeted auction that's specific to an industry, which I think has legs anyways. And I think today is a much better time to do that than 8-10 years ago when you were doing it. But that being said, I think right now is a very unique place in time, because this is the origination point for a lot of these names. It's one thing if you are holding this type of auction and it's like the dot homes first coming to market, versus, you know, going out and collecting a bunch of names from people who have already registered them and are trying to make their margin. You know, it's a different animal.
Oh yeah. And the initiative, you know, just to talk about this a little bit more, because I know we're concentrating on this auction, but the initiative by Dominion to do this is really important for them, obviously, because they own this kick-ass extension. Yeah. And what a better place than to technically launch it from there, even though it's already been available to registries to sell. But even if they break even on the marketing expense, you know, even if they lost a little bit of money, it puts their extension on the map for the future. Yeah. Of course, they're going to get hundreds of visibility, not thousands.
Yeah, visibility is priceless. Visibility is priceless. So just to tie that back to this auction, though, the NamesCon auction in Lisbon next week, which gives me agita even thinking about. That's so much.
It gives you?
Yeah.
I'm gonna hit my bourbon bar right now. You just got me all angry.
This is, as far as I'm concerned, we are at a tipping point, and names are so hot right now. Good domains are so hot. The wholesale market is rough right now, but I actually think this is maybe one of the greatest opportunities in the history of domain names right now, because I'm seeing better end user sales than I've ever seen in history. We've sold 8 figures in domains in the last 30 days.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
We sold 70% of what we sold last year, and it's mid-June. And last year was 300% better than we had ever done in history. I literally told my team 60 or 90 days ago, like, guys, we can't benchmark off of last year. That was a fluke. It will never happen again. And then in the last 30 days, it's just been insane. So
well, that's a tribute to you and your team and your company and your experience, and hats off to you guys, because you guys kick ass too. I know we work together, and all these sales from everybody is good for the market and good for everybody.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But it's also a major reflection of the market and what's going on there. And this auction should be the hottest yet. I mean, with the end users, you said 52% of buyers last year were end users. This year,
in the last auction, it was 52%. In the year before that, it was 54%. But I try to keep it, you know, if we hit 50% end users, it's that we accomplished our goal for sure, because that way the end users are mixing it up with the investors. So there's people getting a fresh start at wholesale, and people are getting, you know, a fresh start or a new start with retail prices.
And this is what I've been saying all along. Our number one goal as an industry is, well, 2 things. One, obviously just try and make the pie bigger. But secondly, is bring price closer to value. And the way you're going to do that is getting those end users in the room, not physically maybe, but bidding and competing against the investors. And that's going to create liquidity, and that's going to bring price closer to value. And even though it sucks because it's making it harder to get great names at good prices today, just know that prices are increasing, and I don't see any reason why prices aren't on the best, particularly .coms, are only increasing. I literally think they're going to start increasing like this. And buy now, not later, because later it's going to be more expensive and there's going to be less. I mean, everybody knows
even new TLDs are going up. New TLD prices are going up. Everything's going up.
Yeah.
So I agree with you.
It is. It really is. Everything is going up, and there is so much more demand. There's so much more competition for a very relatively thin pool of great domains, whether that's a new GTLD, a .com, a .org. It's getting scarce. So I'm super bullish, and I think that things like what you're talking about with the .homes auction at the National Association of Realtors, that's exciting to me, because that brings visibility not just to .homes. It emphasizes the importance of domains, and that how important domains are to a brand, and that
it brings credibility, and
visibility.
competition.
Yeah. And
Phenomenal.
anybody that's poo-pooing new extensions and has you want new extensions to sell because it raises the value, raises the tidewater of everybody. When any names at this point, especially a new extension, because it just makes the .com even more valuable, at least for the time being. Who knows?
Yeah.
Predict what the future is, but you want a $100,000 .home sale because it means that there's going to be a name that's worth 10 times that in a .com maybe, or you want that new extension to take off because that means that industry segment's getting it. So you have more opportunity to sell your domain names to that industry segment because that this auction happened. So that's the kind of thing that we're trying to create.
Yeah.
Yeah. And in my experience, I don't even know if I could think of a single sale where the .com lost out to the new Gtld sale. So it's not that these things are not mutually exclusive. Just because online.casino sells for $500,000, that's got nothing to do with whether or not onlinecasino.com is worth 10x or 100. You know what I mean? It's you're not that buyer that bought the online.casino. He was not going to be the buyer for onlinecasino.com. So you are not, losing a sale in .com and giving it to the new Gtld. You're just making the pool bigger. That's it.
Yeah.
We're just
given his business acumen, he's going to probably make the online .casino more valuable than the .com version could be. I mean, you just never know where they're channeling their efforts.
And down the line, maybe he's the guy that upgrades and buys the .com for
maybe. Maybe.
It's like, there is no poo-pooing. These things are not.
Well, there's a lot of people that do poo-poo it, from the very beginning of just the bashing of the whole thing in general.
Drew poo-poos the poo-pooers.
I poo-poo everybody because I just hate people. But I poo-poo. Listen, here's the deal. When we're on DomainSherpa and we're talking about a new Gtld domain somebody submits and they want us to review it, I'm not going to tell you that name is like liquid for some high value that's equivalent to or even a fraction.
It's not liquid.
There's zero liquidity. That's the only poo-pooing you can do. There is virtually zero liquidity on these names. That doesn't mean that they're not worthwhile. That doesn't mean they're worthless. It means that the market hasn't developed yet.
Exactly.
And that's it. That's it.
It's the .com industry 20 years ago is what the way I look at it.
Mm-hmm.
So and there's great opportunity for those that have great keywords and in extensions that are well-funded registries that are going to make it and that know what the hell they're doing.
I remember when I first started out, full-time in domains, and I was on like one of these forums, and I remember there was like people selling two-letter .coms for 25, 40 grand, and it was like, ooh, I don't know, are they going to go up? And it's like, there was no liquidity beyond that. That's it. There was no liquidity. Yeah. That's 10, 12 years ago. Today they're worth 20x, like 30x, 40x. So, liquidity is not the same as value.
Yeah, that's true. So anyway, we're fired up. I'm excited. Do I expect the results to be as big or bigger than Las Vegas? I'm not sure because like I said, there's a lot of sleepers in here. We had a good handful of a lot of 7-figure names in the last auction. I have a lot of 6-figure names in this auction and 5 figures and 4 figures. And again, we're tapping into a different market, which is a diverse European and international crowd plus United States. And so whatever it is, it'll be good for the market. There's already going to be 31 sales as of today. There'll be 50 by the time we get roll around to next week. So it's going to be a great fun event regardless.
Yeah, it sure will be. Yeah. So I think our takeaways are Drew right there. Buy it now. It's hot.
Hey, listen, here's the deal. There's the people that say that, and then there's the people that put their money where their mouth is. And I can promise you I'm putting my money where my mouth is. And anybody who will be there will see me putting my money where my mouth is in that auction room.
As you
Monte
do.
Will attest, as I do.
And the good news is I'm bringing Wayne all the way from Texas. So he's coming in. He's coming into Europe. Yep. Wayne Wheat's going to be there. He's a great entertaining guy and now a motivational speaker. And he loves the domain industry. And I'll have to slow him down a little bit because we have some foreigners in the room. So he won't go as fast. but he's coming, so that's good.
That's fabulous. Oh, I
Yeah.
can't wait. See you soon. And we'll see what happens with this auction, but I know it's going to be good.
Yeah. Thank you so much for the time and helping us promote it. And it's good for the industry, and always love being on the show with you guys.
Yeah, you
Like
too.
I said,
All right.
literally, I love it. I love live auctions. It's going to be fun.
All right. Good.
Yeah. All right. See y'all next time. No, see y'all in like a week.
Yeah, see you in a week.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.